actor and a martial artist. He is an author. His website is chinastrategies.com. He also has a wonderful YouTube channel. Everything will be linked below as usual. Very happy to have him here today. And so, Stefan, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me back, Judith. Always a pleasure.
So, is it just me, Stefan, or are we in the middle of a total disaster capitalism, like a peak disaster capitalism? You know, little businesses are getting crushed left, right, and center. And Mr. Bezos, for instance, since the Corona situation, he doubled his net worth to a little bit more than 200 billion. So what's going on here?
Well, I'm sure that's pure coincidence.
Okay.
I'm sure the big multinational billionaire corporations had nothing to do with this, and all their money they're suddenly raking in is just a coincidence. No, of course, it's, you know, this we better think of a different name to call this. The beer virus, the Corona beer virus. Yeah. We'll call it the beer virus. First of all, it's of course staged. It's completely false. And it's meant to do a number of things, but one thing that it is doing is destroying small businesses all over the world. This is ruining the American dream, because the American dream is you work hard, you save up some money, you start a small business out of your garage, you know, like Hewlett Packard or Xerox or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You start a small business out of your garage, and well, you work really hard, and the business grows, and now you're up in the upper middle class income bracket, and that's your American dream. And it's surprising that, and this is unified the world over. Every country in the world said, no, you can't go into a small mom and pop coffee shop because you'll spread Corona. You know, 4 or 5 people in a small shop, that's verboten. But 250 people can go to Walmart. That's fine, you know.
Yeah.
No, you can't go to a small restaurant, but you can still go to McDonald's. You know, they did that on purpose. I don't know why people don't see that. It's these small little businesses, the convenience store, the bakery, the coffee shop, the small restaurant, the bicycle repair store. You know, all these places have been destroyed, and yet the big box stores weren't touched by this. As a matter of fact, they're making more money than ever. Well, of course they're making more money than ever, because their competition, and it wasn't much of a competition, all these small mom and pop businesses maybe make up for 10% of the retail market. But even they want to steal that 10% too, and throw all those people out of work, and their life savings down the drain, and everything they've ever worked for has been destroyed, so that Bezos can make a little extra money by accident, purely by accident. It's outrageous. It's a crime against humanity. It really is. I mean, this is, we often joke about 1984 and the coming collapse and all that, but no, it's here now. This is a form of martial law so draconian that not even George Orwell could have dreamt of it. I mean, they're telling you whether or not you can go to a funeral, or whether or not you can have a few people over for dinner at your house, or whether or not you can go for a walk in the park. Not even George Orwell's Big Brother was that draconian. And here we are, we're living it now. This is it. This is really it. So yeah, disaster capitalism, well, it's not capitalism, and it hasn't been capitalism for at least 200 years. Certainly not since the institution of the central bank. That's when capitalism died. It's been communism for the last 150 years. Let's not call this capitalism. The communists always blame everything on capitalism, but there's no capitalists involved in this. There's no free market. Other than, like I said, the small mom and pop stores, which are, people that have to work their asses off to pick up some of the scraps that fall off the table and try and make a living out of that. But that's not capitalism either. So, disaster no, it's disaster communism. That's what we have now. And we have a martial law, a control system that's, Orwell on steroids. I mean, nobody would have imagined this level of control in any science fiction novel. And I've read lots of science fiction, but nobody ever predicted that people would be manipulated and controlled to the extent that they are now, including being muzzled with a face diaper. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. So, but what we also see at the same time is that all these great democracies, let's say Canada, USA, Australia, New Zealand, it seems for the most part, yes, there are people who get it, what's going on, but as for a united pushback, I don't see that. It's pretty apathetic. What would you say?
I agree. First of all, democracy is the last thing you would want. We're not supposed to be democracies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Even the Greeks said democracy is the worst form of government. Democracy always ends up being rule by the mob, right? So long as 51% vote to rape and murder to 49%, that's democracy. We're supposed to have a Republican, at least in the United States. Here in Canada, nobody knows what we got here. Everybody just plays along. They just parrot words. They have no idea what system of government, parliamentary democracy. What a joke. What a flaming joke.
Why do you think that is in Canada?
Well, because they feed us fluoride for the last 80 years. It's got to be something in the water, Judith. I don't know. They're just morons. They can't think. They're like zombies. They can't see what's happening to them. We are living under a tyranny, and people don't notice. What was it? Aldous Huxley famously said that the best slavery will be the one in which people enjoy their slavery. That's it in Canada. Canadians, they love slavery. They love to be slaves, so long as they can watch a hockey game and drink a beer and have a Tim Hortons donut. That's fine. That's all they need. They don't need a life. They don't need freedom. They don't need to be able to think for themselves. The government does it for them. Shut up. Watch your stupid hockey game. Do as you're told, and get taxed at 80, 90%. That's Canada.
And people love that. Do you sometimes speak, I mean, to people and try to figure out what they are thinking?
Well, I did for the first 6 months. I mean, I saw this coming in January. When I heard this whole story about the Wuhan virus, I went, because you know me, I've been predicting these events for a long time. For at least 10 years, I predicted, society's going down, it's going to be the collapse of Western civilization. This is what you can expect, crime, riots in the streets, looting, burning, government corruption, civil war, pandemics, diseases, even biological warfare, chemical warfare, electronic warfare. I said, this is all coming. And look what happened. It's all here. Oh my God. I didn't think, at the time when I was making these predictions, I was thinking to myself, oh, that's a little bit far-fetched, Stephanie. Better not tell people about that because, that's really out there. Oh my God. Now, here we are. So in January, I saw it coming. And I already started warning people. I said, listen, there's something not right about this. And then when they first started locking people down, only for 2 weeks. I think that was early in March. Only for 2 weeks, And now here we are 6 months later. Only another 2 years, that's all. And then, so I started talking to people everywhere. I mean, I made it my duty to talk to everybody. Somebody walking in the park, how you doing? Excuse me, you guys do know that this is all just one big hoax, right?
And
No, I would do that, Judith. I don't care. Me personally, I don't care what people think about me, if they think I'm weird or whatever. I don't care. I open my mouth
mm,
and I'll say things. And thank goodness I'm a martial artist, because some of the things I say might have resulted in violence if it wasn't for the fact that I'm big and mean looking. One old man was going to take a swing at me. I thought, we're standing in the goddamn lineup to get into the grocery store. There's like 40 people in line. We're waiting there for half an hour, And I turned around to an older guy. I figured maybe the older guys, maybe they have a little bit more life experience. And I said, well, you do know that this whole COVID thing is a big hoax, and that standing 6 feet apart doesn't do anything, and that this is even before we had to wear the damn masks, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, my friend died of COVID, the beer virus. My friend died of the beer virus. How dare you disgrace his memory?
Yeah.
I said, listen, first of all, you don't know what he died from because you're not a doctor, and you can't trust the doctors to diagnose him. Everybody that fell off a cliff has died from the beer virus. That's come out now that we know they were faking those statistics from the very beginning. And I don't trust doctors. Judith, I don't trust authority figures.
Mm.
And I never have. And just because you put on a white lab coat doesn't suddenly mean your word is the ultimate truth on everything. And yet people do that. I used to, I was in a biology class in college, and I used to wear my lab coat around the university campus.
Mm-hmm.
And people would think I was a professor, right?
Yeah.
You're awfully young to be a professor. Well, I'm in physics and chemistry. What are you doing tonight, sweetheart? Yeah, so I don't buy that stuff. And I know also I have a little bit of understanding of science. I know they can't know this stuff. I know they're faking it. I know they're lying about it.
Mm.
So yeah, just because we don't know. Listen, my mother died in hospital about 4 years ago, and they said it was pneumonia, but they never did an autopsy. I never checked her out. I didn't go and examine the body. Who knows? Who knows? And now that there's an agenda to pump up the supposed deaths from the beer virus, and when we know there's a financial incentive, and also I have a good friend that's a doctor. He's an emergency room doctor for 40 years. He's in his 70s now. He's like the old country doctor. I mean, he's been around a long time, and he's an honest doctor. And he said the same thing. I said, am I wrong, Ron, to think that maybe they don't have all the truth? He says, you're right. No, you can't determine the cause of death unless you do an autopsy and blood work and all that, And yet the reports came out every day. Oh, another 200 people. And I know they're lying, because there's no way they could have done blood work and autopsies and examinations. And that takes, when's the last time you went to the doctor and you had to get your blood test taken, right? Did it come back in 2 hours or 2 weeks, right? So we're supposed to, yeah, of course.
Usually here 2 to 3 days.
Oh, well, here 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So I know that, they did not do 500 blood tests, in 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
What laboratory has the capacity to do that? I don't know. Anyways, so I said, listen, you don't know what your friend died of. I'm sorry for your loss, but you can't assume that it was from the beer virus. Well, he starts coming up to me, brings his right hand back as though he's going to punch me. This self-righteous indignation everybody has too. I find it really annoying. They think that because they put on their face muzzle, that now they're morally superior. And when you're morally superior, just like the SJWs and Antifa and the Black Lives Matter, they're all morally superior, so they're entitled to inflict violence on people. I really find that annoying, because most of the time I'm right, and I never feel entitled to beat people up because I'm right. Yeah. Anyways, he comes towards me, he's shaking his fist, and then he stops for a second and he looks me up and down. And it finally hit him. Holy shit, this guy's 6'2". But yeah, I've talked to everybody, and so I did that for months and months and months. And I never got anywhere, Judith. Nobody acknowledged it. Nobody agreed with me. Everybody's always terrified. Oh, he's talking about the beer virus. Oh, look at the ground. Look at the ground. Look at the ground. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. He's talking out loud. You know, like, I mean, oh, come on, people. Jesus, Murphy. And then I started getting, you know, the Karens threatening me. Sir, you're entitled to your beliefs, but we don't believe this at all. And we don't want to hear this from you. And if we don't stop, we're going to have to phone the police and have you evicted. I'm not kidding, Judith. They're threatening me to phone the police on it. And by this point, like I said, I've tried this since March. So March, April, May, June, July, August. I gave up in September. You know,
how dare you to shatter our belief system?
Yeah, how dare you speak out loud in public? Well, listen, we're all waiting in line here. I thought I'd provide some entertainment for you guys. You know, you can always go home and tell the family, oh, there was this guy in the lineup and he was talking about conspiracy theories. Oh, and what did you do? Oh, well, I just looked at the ground and pretended I didn't see him. Oh, good for you. You're lucky. You know, what goes through their heads? This is the kind of sheep I'm dealing with here. You know, passive, timid, frightened, cowardly people that can't even open their mouth and say anything at all because, oh, you're speaking out loud in public and it's against the official government story. You know, so pushback? No, Judith, no pushback. Not here in Canada. Maybe there in Germany, we see a few more protesters. Maybe in the United States.
Yeah, every weekend there are protests.
Yeah.
Every weekend. Another big one will be 10/10 in Berlin again.
Good.
And what they also started, and I'm watching it because they are doing a live feed, and if I do not watch that, I watch it later on YouTube. They are doing a Corona info tour. They are driving for the next 3 weeks from city to city to city. There is a doctor in it and 2 other guys, and then they hand out boxes with flyers and information about why it doesn't make sense, what the media is saying, and so on and so forth. They are giving speeches, they talk to people. And I have to say, the crowds are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah?
Wow.
The longer they are touring. And every day, they usually do 3 cities per day. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then they have an evening session in another city. And they always call out the doctors, the nurses, the midwives, the first responders, if they are in the audience as well. And they always are. And they all step up, they all show their faces, and they say, yes, we know that this is not good. Yeah.
Well, that sounds hopeful, Judith.
Yeah. And,
but I don't have much hope.
Yeah.
No, you know, I'm the grim speaker. Because listen, you got to know what we're up against.
Yeah.
And that's all very nice that people are protesting and going around and spreading information. If it looks like there's any chance whatsoever, because look, the people in power, they're just going to ignore you. So what? So you walk around, you talk a little bit, maybe you get a few thousand people. What's that going to do to them?
That's not the only thing that is going on. There are a lot of lawsuits being filed and, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Hold on a sec. I just got to get a coffee.
Yeah, sure.
I'm teasing.
Okay. So, and then we have this hybrid, this very bizarre situation in the USA. I look at that and I think, what the hell is going on there? I mean, we have one chunk of people that is busy shooting each other in the streets. We have a huge chunk that is totally apathetic. And then we have those who are counting on Trump, QAnon, and waiting for the white knights to ride in and save the day. So how in the world did that happen?
I would say it's what we call dissipative behavior. Dissipative behavior, or maybe cognitive dissonance would be another way of talking about it. But dissipative behavior is when an animal is faced with a intense situation. They will often do things that are really bizarre. For example, a chicken, when faced with a fox, may suddenly start pecking at the ground as though looking for food. Because the intensity of facing a fox overwhelms the brain, and the brain resorts to what they call dissipative behavior, which is doing something that gets rid of the anxiety of facing the true threat. So I think what we're seeing is sort of the human equivalent of the chicken pecking the ground. Like the true threat is our complete and total enslavement, and it's very real. And so instead of facing that threat and the implications of that threat, which the implications is a lot of people are going to die, there's going to be a lot of blood, or you're going to wear your manacles and you're just going to love your slavery. That's the only two choices. And it looks like it's going for the second choice. But either of those choices are very emotionally upsetting to people. So they need to dissipate that anxiety. And so then we've got, well, let's go downtown and set everything on fire. So that's one form of it. Like, notice how they don't go after Amazon or Bill Gates or the central bank or the Federal Reserve or anything. They go burn down the poor little mom and pop stores and maybe what did they burn down? The Burger King. Like that's not going to accomplish anything, but it gets them to release their nervous energy. So that's one version of it. The other version is that we're all praying for the Savior. Boy, do I ever get a lot of comments about excuse me. I get a lot of comments about, oh, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me for being a little bit pissed off at Jesus, but where have you been for 2,000 years?
Yeah.
He's coming. Yeah, 2,000 years later, he's coming. Guess what? I'm not waiting. We've been waiting for 2,000 years. I'm not waiting anymore. And then the other, little dissipative behavior is, oh, well, there's a secret group of good guys. We don't know who they are, but that's because they're like superheroes. They're in disguise.
Yeah. Something happened to your sound. You sound as if you're sitting in a tin box.
Really?
And then now it's okay again.
Now it's okay again?
Yeah, now it's good.
Like I said, I told you, I get that with the computer now too. It's the sound is going up and down and off and on.
Yeah.
Everything's going crazy.
Yeah. We
anyway,
talked about weird things and technology before we started.
Yeah, we all got glitches on our computer and everything's not working properly. And anyways, but so no, this is all just delusional thinking. It's a way to release tension rather than facing the really ugly truth of what we're about to go through.
Yeah, recently I noticed that some people that I have to say I respected them for many years actually, and they all jumped on the Q train. Three of them.
Yeah.
So, and they all know what a Savior program is, how that works.
Right.
Why the Savior program always is an indication that you're dealing with bullshit.
Yeah.
They know all that.
And that you're about to get slaughtered. They always run that. We're going to have to kill a lot of people. Oh, well, okay, let's give them a savior first.
Yeah.
So that while they're being shot in the head, they're crying out the name of somebody that they think is going to save them.
Yeah. And I really don't know how that happened.
Well, and the reason it's not that, yes, I'm pessimistic and I know what I'm saying is negative, but The reason I say this is because I've read a lot of history and I've never encountered anything like a queue ever in history. There was never, there were so many tyrannical dynasties: the Chinese, the Romans, the British, the French, the Persians, hundreds and hundreds of tyrannical rulers, really evil bastards, from Caligula to George Bush Sr. to, hundreds, if not thousands of tyrannical rulers. And guess what? There was no queue that took them out, ever.
Yeah.
There was no secret group of the good lords, No, they were surrounded by other psychopaths. Often they would get taken out by another psychopath, maybe their uncle or their brother. Even their mother would kill them, because they're all psychopaths. They're all vying for that power. But none of these guys were ever taken out by the good guys. Well, maybe Julius Caesar.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't get it, why that is happening in the USA, because I mean, when I look at, just recently, I looked up images of the homeless situation in Los Angeles. And during the late 80s and early 90s, I was in Los Angeles all the time.
Yeah.
And I know it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked what I saw.
Yeah.
Tent after tent after tent after, my goodness. So it's hitting them really, really hard, and still not one peep.
No, I really think like that Q and the Messiah, and now they're talking aliens. There's always somebody talking aliens, and then they're coming up with the flat Earth thing again, and like this is clutching at straws. This is what people do when they can't face reality. They go into this fantasy world, and they are literally in another world. You've seen this probably in movies about mental hospitals or psychiatry, that people are so traumatized that they retreat into an internal fantasy land, right? And we now see an entire nation retreat into a fantasy land that there are good guys working behind the scenes, and they're going to arrest Hillary any day now, and Wiener too. They're going to get Wiener. And
even if, how is that going to help you to put food on the table?
Exactly. Even if that happens, like, how does that make your day any better? Like, it's going to suddenly your hours are cut from 12 hours a day to 6. No, you still have to work 12 hours a day and hope you can afford to buy some food. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. But it's all just a big distraction. It's a big distraction. It's, people have retreated into fantasy world. And then here in Canada, the fantasy world they've all retreated into is that the government knows best. The government's just trying to keep us safe, because after all, that's all we hear on the radio 24/7, on the TV, on the advertisement. Oh my God, CBC radio here in Canada, what a propaganda device. All they do, every politician, every other second word is, we're just trying to